Hello, and welcome to the I've Seen Everything Reaction Wrap-Up podcast. Here is where I share my thoughts, reactions, and review for my latest reaction videos. To find these full reaction videos, please search for @SeenEverything over on YouTube, or check the description of this podcast for more information. Also, please remember to rate and comment on this episode, and follow the podcast so you can see when I'm putting out new wrap-ups. And now, on to my latest wrap-up for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Well, I enjoyed that a lot more this time around, I think, than I did last time. I don't know. I can't remember if I saw this one in the theater. I think I might have. But a lot more of the emotional moments I feel like had a chance to hit. And I feel like they did what they were trying to do. Going into this movie, they knew this was going to be the final chapter of this film franchise. At least, Harrison's final chapter as Indy. I don't think they'll go back and recast. I hope they don't. I don't think it would work at this point. Harrison has become so iconically identified with Indiana Jones, it would be almost impossible to recast that role. I've heard people make that argument, and I have to say I vehemently disagree. Sometimes it's just time for a character to go off into the sunset, as they did in Last Crusade, and as they thought that was going to be the final entry into this series. Now, that said, there are all kinds of ways that Indiana Jones stories can continue. And they've already started. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle I still haven't played yet. I still want to play. It's one of the only, in fact, I think it's the only Indiana Jones game with an original story I have yet to play. I've played all the old ones. There's books, and there's potential for more if they want to write more. There's, comic books. There's all different kinds of media. Animation would be a great one, I think. They've done all kinds of great things modern day with known properties in the animated world. You could do Indiana Jones adventures forever in animation, and they would be wonderful. But this felt like an appropriate end to this. That moment with him meeting Archimedes back 2,000 years ago, saying he wanted to stay. I think it hit me emotionally, at least in part, because it's this thing of, this is a person who has spent his entire life studying these things, exploring the ruins of all of these things that happened way in the past, trying to teach these things to other people and get them to understand why they were important. As we see in the beginning of the things that I feel like were effective about the setup of the beginning of this was him being in this world where he felt like he no longer had anything of value to contribute. Sitting in a classroom of people who are not interested in what he's teaching. To see that, to feel like your time really has passed. And your son is gone, your wife has left you. You don't have anyone left in the world. You don't have any purpose that you can think of left in the world to keep going. Your time, your world has forgotten about you. Why go back? I want to stay here. I want to see this. This is the culmination of all of these things I've devoted my life to be able to see this happen firsthand. But he wasn't thinking clearly, and she knew it. And it was beyond that. She had her own emotional reasons. She loved him, and she wanted him to be with her. But she was also right. First of all, it would have gotten old very quick. Well, maybe with him, with his interest in this time period, the interest would have gone longer. But he would have died probably fairly soon. I mean, they didn't have anywhere near the medical technology, anything like that, what he would need to keep him going, even in his time. And also, the biggest one is he absolutely would not have been able to resist telling them things about the future. And he even said, after he woke up, what's so bad about that? What's so bad about that is, even if you think you're doing the right thing, even if you think you're helping them to advance in ways that they wouldn't have been able to otherwise or would have struggled to, or helping them to avert horrible things that would have happened otherwise, you have no way to know what those ripples will create, what will happen instead. Even Voller going back and trying to do what he was trying to do. Not to say that by any stretch of the imagination, any reasonable person wanted him to succeed. Anyone with any decency, obviously, would want him to fail miserably at anything he's trying to do as a Nazi. But even if he had succeeded, even if they had gone to where he was intending to go and everything came off just as he intended, he had no way to know if he would even be successful at what he was doing. He said he knew all the mistakes they made. And he did. He would know a fair amount of history. He would know the mistakes they made. He would know what the Allies were going to do in response and all these kind of things. That changes the moment he takes over. There's new mistakes to be made. The Allies fighting them are going to do different things, potentially, in answer to what he would do. So as much as he feels like he would have it planned out, it probably wasn't going to work anyway. Go even further. Go to the classic example, since we're talking about Nazis. You use time travel to go back and kill Hitler or something like that. On its face, that seems like a good idea, especially considering what happened. Like, we save all these millions of people. Maybe you would. Maybe it would create something else, something even worse. You don't know. You're talking about time travel stuff here. You don't know what would happen. And it would have worn on him, and he wouldn't have been able to stop himself. I don't know if she had that in her mind when she decided to bring him back. I think it was just more, you don't belong here, and I love you, and we need to go home. Which is enough. They still ended up doing the right thing. And she ended up getting Marion there, which apparently didn't take that much. I mean, she said, I heard you were back. And she said, are you back? To me, meaning, are you again? Are you the man I love, the man I married? It gives the sense that it wasn't just her grief, even though that's how he characterized it. I'm sure that was his view at that time, but it was what he did with his grief. It was likely that he shut her out, that he didn't know how to process the grief of losing his son. And if they had found maybe a way to grieve together, that their marriage would have been okay at least. That they could have found comfort and support in each other. And the hope being, obviously, that going forward, they'll be able to find that. That'll be the rest of Indy's story. I did enjoy this quite a bit more than I thought. I'm glad that I watched it. I'm glad I watched through all of these. It gives a different perspective. This is the first time that I've had an opportunity to watch all of the Indiana Jones movies together in a relatively short period of time, to get to watch all of them and get to experience them each again and how they make me feel and how much I enjoyed them and all of that compared to each other. And overall, I don't think there are any big misses in the Indiana Jones film series. I do think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was probably the biggest one. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was also the biggest swing, like the biggest risk, like the biggest, let's try something different. And again, it illustrates for me the difference between the creative people who make something and the people who watch it and love it, and the difference between what those people think the thing is supposed to be or what it is. They hadn't made an Indiana Jones movie in 20 years, and they thought they had to do something different. They thought they had to try to reinvent it a little bit to kind of reinvigorate it for what I'm sure they hoped would be maybe a new trilogy. Didn't really work. But they didn't want to go out on that note. They wanted to have an actual final chapter for this character, at least on the film screen. And that's what this was intended to be. And so they tried to have it be a little more of a return to form. I think they did a good job in what they attempted to do here, what they set out to do. So no complaints. And I've enjoyed watching all of these again with you. One complaint I do have, they have not released a novelization of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. They have for all the other movies, and my bookshelf is waiting for it. So get on it. But other than that, I appreciate you being here with me through all of this. And I will see you on the next video. Take care. Thanks so much for listening to the I've Seen Everything reaction wrap-up. Again, to find these full reaction videos, please search for @SeenEverything over on YouTube or check the description of this podcast for more information. Also, please remember to rate and comment on this episode and follow the podcast so you can see when I'm putting out new wrap-ups. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll meet you here for the next episode.